Hey guys, welcome back to Vince Bell Custom. So today we're going to do a work in progress video of making a custom ponytail version Storm premium format head for the Sideshow premium format. Now I came across an extra head in my travels, so what I want to do is I want to pop off this hair and make the ponytail version, and I'll put that picture up in the screen. I like that ponytail version, and I think they should have done that for an exclusive for the Storm. But I guess they really didn't, because this version of Storm with the white silver outfit really never had a variant hair. But I'm just following this one cover, and I thought it would be pretty cool just to do a one-off of the item. Now, doing that one-off, because I don't plan on keeping this, usually stuff like this I'll offer up to my Patreon supporters first if they're interested. If not, I'll just throw it up on eBay. I thought, I would go above and beyond and actually make a head display stand for it as well. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I figured it'd be nice to have a couple of copies of a bust in my box of parts in case people contact me down the line and say, hey, I got this statue, can you make a head display stand for it? It'd be nice to have a couple copies of resin sitting around than to try to sculpt it from scratch or try to find another statue to chop up. It becomes a lot more work. So if I can simplify the work a little bit, I can actually make it a little bit better. So what I did is I contacted my friend John in Canada, who does a lot of my 3D printing, and I found a torso of a female on the site called CG Trader. I'll link it in the description. And basically, it's a really good site if you could print everything out in scale. So you could find stuff like a female torso, and you can chop it and cut it. You could find male torsos. You could find hands, heads, body parts, full statues, all kinds of stuff. So if you have a couple of heads that are sitting around in boxes and you want to display them, you can go onto the site and print it out, and then you can sort of chop up the neck area and sort of create a key system, and you can make yourself your own, head display stand. Now, the only downside is this is actually hollow, so if you put this on an item and you put it like on a sort of a smaller base and you have this heavy hair holding it, it'll pull the head back. It'll pull the base back and it'll fall. But what I decided to do is, like I said, since I get people asking me a lot and sometimes I want to do it for my own statues, I actually made a mold of this while I was working on something else before the winter, another special project. So since I bought a gallon kit of mold, I had some extra mold in there. I decided to make a one-piece mold. As you can see, you can split it. And I'm going to be making a couple more resin copies of a torso. I'm not going to make like 50 of them. I'm just going to make like, maybe 6 of them or so before the end of the winter to use up my resin that I'm using for the project. So I'll put this in my box of parts and I'll have these down the line. Now this is a Red Devil Bowen base. I've had this for years in my box of parts. I don't need it anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the torso onto it like this. And then I'm going to sculpt something of Storm, not her white silver outfit to go with the statue. I want to make one of her other outfits that's a little bit more simple, so this way I don't have to do the shoulder pads and everything. And then this way, once I get this head on here and I key it in and I create the ponytail, this heavy weight of this thing is not going to pull it back. Because if you decide to put this head on here and put her ponytail on the statue, all this weight of this hair could actually pull this back. And if you have it with a hollow piece on there, it really isn't that heavy. So what I might actually do is I might actually Dremel in here a little bit, and I might Dremel in here, and I might put some fishing weights in here to really give this some weight. So this way, when you put this head in here with the hair, it'll work. Now, I'm going to have to sort of kind of create the base and the outfit first, and also create the key at the same time. If I rip off this hair now, I actually do have a Storm that I will be customizing for my own personal collection, which I actually might sell off anyway to make room. It's always good to have this head intact when doing this, because you don't want to do all this first and then you or do all this hair first and you put this in there, and then when someone takes this head that has this hair now and puts it in, and it falls back on you and hits the ground. So you always have to make sure you weigh your items down and keep it heavy. So if you do have a hollow item and you put this on here, you might want to fill up your hollow item there, because you can actually pour in resin into these hollow items as long as these pieces are filled, and you can actually make these heavy. But that's kind of where we're at with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start planning out which version of Storm outfit I'm going to use. I'll probably chop this up a little bit and I'll kind of do some designs. And I'm actually going to start making this key too as well. And I'm going to get all this situated first, and once this is sort of all situated, at least to the point where I know this is going to hold this head, I'll pop this hair off, we'll fill up her skull, and then from there we're going to start sculpting that ponytail. And the good thing too is I have a storm, like I said, over in my collection right now, and I can test the ponytail on that statue, and I can test the ponytail here to make sure everything works. You don't want to sculpt something that you don't have the statue to, and then you put it on there and it hits the cape or it hits her back or it hits a base and then it doesn't work. So it's always good to have the item or know that the item doesn't have anything behind it to sculpt it. Okay, so now that that's all out of the way, I'm going to start planning this out. We'll come back and then we'll start working on it. Alright, so before I rip off the hair on Storm, I'm going to try to key this into the body. Now, I haven't had a chance to attach this down to the bottom of the base yet because I wanted this separate, but I figured since I don't let this Aves go to waste, let's get this head on here like so. If I ripped off the hair by accident and then I tried to set this on, it might screw stuff up with, you know, like the weight and stuff. So I have to kind of keep this going before we do the hair. So the best thing to do is just take some of this Aves, put it in here, use some saran wrap and push it in, and then use some masking tape on top of it and let it sit for the night, and then hopefully I'll have a nice key here, and then I can start working on the rest of the item. Alright, so I got a magnet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this magnet right now. Let's get this marked. Just mark where the part goes in. You can kind of see I started working out the key. There's a little bit of a space down there, so that's good enough for the magnet there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the magnet in there, push it down. I'm going to throw some baby powder in there, pop this out, and then we're going to do another thing of saran wrap, and I'm going to push it down, and I'm going to get some tape, and I'm going to tape this. So this way what will happen is this could cure up overnight, but the head's going to pop out with no problem. There will be a magnet stuck in there already, and the saran wrap should come out pretty well. Now, even if the saran wrap doesn't come out perfectly, sometimes if there's like a lot of wrinkles in there, when you pull out the saran wrap after it cures, it rips the saran wrap. But you could go in there with a tool and scrape it out, or you could leave it in there. It's not really the end of the world, but this should work out pretty well. So what we do is we take this part here. Now we make sure that the part that we marked is the one that goes down. Now you can try to do this with some wooden tools. You don't want to use metal, because what will happen is the magnet will come right back up. And then what I like to do is I like to push the magnet down into that area and sort of lock it in place. Take some Aves and kind of squeeze around the edge a little bit. The magnet does not have to touch it perfect. You know, if you have an arm or a hand sticking off and something's hanging down, you want the magnets to touch as best as possible. But with something like this, as long as the head goes into the key and the magnet holds it in place, it's going to work. Because the idea is you don't want the head to wobble. So that's kind of with that. So I'm going to go in the garage, I'm going to throw some baby powder in there, and then we're going to put some saran wrap back on. I'm going to grab some tape, masking tape, and get some strips to the side of me, and then I'm going to lock this into place, and I should be able to move it over. Now what I want to make sure is when I put on the saran wrap and also the masking tape, the head's not turning upwards, it's not turning to the side. I want to make sure it's down as best as possible and straight. Alright, it's the next day, so let's see how this worked out. Hopefully the key is clean enough, and yeah, that worked out pretty well. So we'll see how this saran wrap comes out of this. Like I said, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, but yeah, this one's coming out pretty good so far. Yeah.
that came out good. So we got a really decent key in there, as you can see. And if all goes well, you put that in, and the head is, it's actually kind of turned at a cool angle, actually. It's not that bad. Not that bad at all. Okay, so that's good with that front. So we know this piece is going in and out of there with no problem. So the next step is going to clean off the key, and then I got to start planning the bust, and then I can actually rip off the back of the hair now. We want to make sure that when I'm ready to start sculpting the hair, I have the statue out. This way I can make sure that when I sculpt the ponytail, the hair is not hitting anything that'll mess up the statue. So I'm going to go in the garage, I'm going to sand this down, get this kind of cleaned up here and there. We know that that piece is going to go like this. And then now that I got the key set up here, I can actually one day try to pry off the back of this hair. I'm a little bit concerned on some of this. I want to make sure I don't break the ears. I'm going to have to snap this piece off right now, probably. Take that off there. Yeah, so I just got to, I'm probably going to have to go in the garage and put like a screwdriver back there and kind of smack it with a hammer. And hopefully this piece will just kind of pop right off, which should. But all in all, it works out pretty well. Yeah, and I think the weight on this should go pretty well here. I'll probably still maybe throw like some pieces of like what I'll do is I'll Dremel in here a lot more, and what I'll do is I'll put some lead weights in there, so this way this piece will definitely be able to hold up this head with hair, so we don't have any like flopping backwards, because this head is actually fairly heavy. A lot of times they actually kind of hollow these out, but this one's solid. But all in all, we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. And I think I might go in the garage soon and try to prop this off. We'll see how that works out. Alright, so just went in the garage and I hammered this out. Now, weird thing is, it split the hair here, like this. The reason why is because there was an air bubble there. So I was actually thinking that the head would have popped right out, but they put a shitload of glue in there. But for some odd reason, even though this earpiece was not, even though this piece here wasn't like glued anywhere, this ear broke off. Now that's easily fixed. I'll put some glue in here and I'll put this back on. So now what I do is I have a head here, and anytime I have extra aves, I'm going to fill this in. I'm going to recreate the skull. So once I recreate the skull area and I get that going, I can actually start working on the ponytail. But this is like a side project, so a lot of my side projects I'm always kind of, you know, doing a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here over the course of the months, because I like to have stuff like this where I don't waste material. But all in all, everything worked out pretty well. So you could kind of see how these pieces are casted. So this head is casted like this, and then what they do is they slap a bunch of glue in there, and then they glue this, they glue the heads into the pieces like that. So everything is always keyed up in different pieces. Everything is always, you know, separated, and then everything is get glued in at the end. So that's why there was a really nasty looking seam up here, because they just glued that hair in. But I think this should look pretty cool when I'm all done. So yeah, the neck here is not actually like perfect to the bust, and I'm not going to make it perfect because I don't want this to scrape up. I want this to be able to go in and out of the statue correctly. So the head bust sometimes are always never perfect, but for this one it should work out pretty well. So yeah, we'll come back once I'm pretty much got this skull built out and I'm kind of planning out some more stuff. So it'll be a little while, but at least we get to see how this looks like keyed up. Alright, small little update. I was trying to film me working on the hair, and I realized I didn't have enough room on my SD card. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of just go ahead and finish the hair. I'm just getting in the zone to it, and it's kind of hard to film while I'm actually sculpting this hair, because I got to kind of, I was trying to get into these areas underneath here and stuff, and then I couldn't get the camera in there anyway. But you can see what I'm doing with the hair, kind of just giving it a nice little flow and sort of a design. So what I did is I went in the garage right now and I just chiseled out a lot of this on here. Because what happens is when I kind of make my basic shape and then I work on this side, there's a lot of thicker areas here. So when you Dremel those down, I'll be able to work the hair and it'll kind of blend in with these two. And then after I do this side, I'll kind of work on this side. So now there's one thing I have to plan for is once I finish up the hair,
I have to go ahead and take these shoulder pads off and add it to the bust, because what I did is when you put this hair in here, it fits fine, but the problem is it's going to hit this shoulder. So what I have to do is I have to gut out this key, and I have to turn it once I get on there, so the head will be turned like this. So yeah, that's kind of something I didn't even think of, but that's an easy fix. Just a matter of popping out this magnet in here, drumming this out, making a new key, and that should work out pretty well. But so far I'm liking the way it's coming out. It's looking pretty good. It's going to be a nice little bit of a different style, as you can see. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and work on this part right here right now, because I got a little bit of time before the end of the day. And then this side over here is going to be a little bit tricky, so I got to work on this side. And then after that, we'll kind of try to work on the bangs, get them going. But before I do the bangs, I got to make sure this hair is done and this side is done. And then I'm going to work out the key, because then by then I should be able to take these shoulder pads off and add it to this piece, and therefore I can get that to work. So it's getting there, but it's just one of those things where I'm actually working on it, and it's good to kind of not have the camera in my face and just kind of work on it and get it going and just get in the zone. Sometimes it's really hard to kind of focus while the camera's there, but this one should go pretty well. So let me get back onto this, and we'll just keep taking pictures until it's ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of an update of where I'm at. So, what happened, like I said before, is when I put the head base onto her and everything, she was hitting the shoulder pads. And I realized I had to get these shoulder pads on here, but I didn't want to lock them in place just yet, because I want to take out the magnets and lock them in when I'm ready to go. What I might do is I might paint up the item in a pearlized white, and then maybe make these a little bit more metallic. But right now, these actually go in there pretty well, as you can see. And what I did is I sort of took up the sides just to kind of like give it a little bit of a style. I've been putting like putty around here and cleaning this up. So now her head goes in there. I have to add the magnet to the bottom, but her head goes in there pretty well, and it doesn't hit the sides or anything. And then the other head fits in as well. So we're actually doing pretty well with this. But as you can see, she topples backwards, and that's why once I get this a little bit cleaned up, and I lock her into this base here, she won't go anywhere, and it'll look pretty cool just like this. So it's coming along pretty well. I'm happy with it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the garage, and I'm going to drum out that little spot in there that I made with the magnet, and I'm going to try to get a magnet in the bottom of here, and then I'm going to kind of clean this up. And one of the reasons, though, is I didn't want the shoulder pads on, is I want to create this neck a little bit more like she's turning, and give a little bit more wrinkles like on the premium format, and kind of build up here a little bit more. So I'm going to kind of work on that too as well. So I'll probably go in the garage a little bit, maybe drum out a little bit here, get that magnet in there, and then when I mix up some A's later, I'll go in and I'll kind of create some wrinkles, a little bit wrinkles over here or whatever, make it look like it's turning. And then basically, once that's pretty much done, what I'll do is I'll get this attached to the base, get this up there and working pretty well. And then we'll get this head kind of cleaned up, because I'm pretty much done with it. As far as the earrings go, I'm sure I saved the earrings, or I might try to do something a little different. We'll see. But the earrings that were on there, one was broken, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. But got a little bit more to go, but we're getting there. I should have realized in the beginning that I needed to get these shoulder pads on first before I did anything. But as you can see, I kind of messed them up and they got dirty. But that's fine. It's a better way of kind of like getting them cleaned up and ready for paint anyway. So let me go ahead and keep plugging away. We'll take some pictures of the progress, and then once we're ready to finish up and get ready for paints, we'll kind of go over some of that and we'll get it painted up. Alright, so the base is on. everything is looking pretty good. Head goes on. It doesn't hit anything there. Shoulder pads are got to get cleaned. Everything's got to get cleaned up. Got to get ready for paint. Definitely got to sand up the head, prime it, get it all ready and stuff. So what I always like to do is test out stuff. I did test this before, but I'm explaining what I'm going to do is test out since I had the regular head. You know, it's a good thing that I had an extra head with me, you know, of course, to make sure that this doesn't hit. So it's not hitting the shoulder pads, and it looks pretty good. I like, it's got a little bit of an angle back, but it sort of feels like the statue in a way, so it works out pretty well. But this head is for a little bit heavier, and I feel it is possible that this could tip backwards if you hit it the wrong way. It give a little bit of a force. So what I'm going to do is this week, when I'm actually prepping all this up, when I'm going to prime, prep, get everything ready. If you go over to Walmart or any kind of dollar store or wherever you go, or if you have some old fishing weights in the garage, like say you have a relative, family member, or you're fishing or whatever. If you got some lead weights laying around, this is all you really need to do is to grab some lead weights and help things be a little bit heavier. So what I want to do is I want to give a little bit more weight in the front. So what I'll do is I'll get my Dremel tool or I'll get like a drill. I'll drill in here as far as I can, make sure I don't hit any of this. And what I'll do is I'll drill now so I can put maybe like 2 of these weights in the front here just to help pull it forward. And that's pretty much it. What I plan on doing is now that I got everything set up, because like I said, I needed these shoulder pads to be on the other statue as well to make sure everything was working and works here as well. So what I'm going to do is probably go over this one more time when I prime it up, and I might clean this up a little bit. And I might, I was trying to debate, but what I might do, I was thought about maybe I can just like paint these up separate, you know, and then glue them in at the end, which I still might do. So I might have to do a little bit of cleaning with some extra Aves and putty around these areas. But I gotta do some cleaning. So right now I'm at that stage where it's tedious work, is where you prime it, you clean it, you make sure everything is ready to go. You keep doing tweaking. You may have to do a little extra Aves, stuff like that, and go from there. Now I'm looking at the artwork, and she does not have lightning bolt earrings. And I know the earrings that came off the one over before were cracked, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get those earrings back on her. I'm not really sure. I know she has lightning bolt earrings, that's kind of the common thing, but I'm debating maybe if I just give her like hoops or something, or maybe just like a pearl. I don't know, I might have to change it up. If I can salvage those earrings that one was broken and that was cracked, I'll put them back on. If I can't, I'll come up with something else. That'll kind of debate on it while I do this stuff. So hopefully in the next 2 days it's actually sunny again. It's been raining and it's got a lot of moisture in the garage. I don't like to prime stuff up. And then once I prime it up, if I feel there's anything else I want to do with the hair, I will. It's always kind of hard when you see this color red, this color red, this color, and it's kind of hard to do. But once you prime it all up and you give it one solid color, you might feel like, okay, I want to add a little bit more in there. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's pretty cool. It's something a little bit different. You know, you got like 2 different styles, and I think it works out pretty well. And now I'm realizing, why does this eyes have decals in them? Is that something it's not something I did, was it? No. I don't know if the factory did that. Maybe the factory did that? Or maybe somebody else did that? I don't really remember. But this one didn't have any eye decals. Let me, I don't know, it's kind of curious. Sometimes you never know if the factory did it, and then looks like the factory did it. I don't know. Maybe they did a run with eye decals? I have no clue. That's one of those things I don't know. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So hopefully by the time I come back, we'll pretty much be ready for paint. So I'm going to get all this prepped up, get everything primed, everything's going to get ready, and we'll go over to paint work, we'll get her painted up. We're going to do a different white style on the base, so it's not going to match the statue completely. It's going to be a little bit different on how I would paint it up. So you guys will you'll see the difference of how I would paint a pearl white on a statue like her than what they did with that silver. So let me get all this set up, and then when we come back, we'll get this going. Okay guys, she is all finished up. Sorry about the video, not as super detailed as I would like to have done it. This is sort of a side project, so I was kind of all over with it. Every time I had extra material or I was ready to work on this, I just kind of forgot to throw on the camera, or I didn't have enough room on the SD card because I was working on other projects for videoing. So this is just one of those side things I like to do every once in a while so I could put it up on eBay and fund other projects or supplies and tools or whatever I need to do. So that's kind of where this one evolved to. So I'll kind of break down what I did that I didn't really explain too much in the video. So as far as her skin tone goes, as I was painting her up, I did a little bit more of purple shading, and I didn't throw a lot of that orange in there. There is red in there, but I didn't throw a lot of that orange like the factory did with the original head. I just felt that was too orangey skin. I wanted to kind of give her a little bit more of a natural look. So there's a little bit of purples in there, not too much, a lot of red, vermilion hue in there. And I think it just works better with her skin. So you could kind of see in the pictures what I was trying to do. The lips is a little bit more of a natural lip color. Just kind of wanted to, you know, just do a little bit of a, well, not really natural. It is called a lipstick, but it's not like bright red popping out at you like the, you know, like the X symbols. It's kind of a little bit darker, and I think it works for her a little bit better. It makes her hair and eyes pop out more. Now, as far as her earrings go, I thought the earrings were broken. I was actually mistaken. What it was is these earrings are actually a very soft plastic, which is good because they don't break as well. But what happened is I guess the earring was kind of pushed in and sort of the paint kind of flaked off of it, or the factory kind of did something. So it looked like it was broken in half, but it actually wasn't. And I went over the earrings and I was like, the only thing I had to do was kind of like take off the glue from the original gluing onto the ears and kind of get that off of that piece of plastic, and then I was able to re-glue them in. And then afterwards I just kind of hit it with some you know, gold metallic paint that I did on the other areas. Now, as far as her hair, it's kind of just a basic white with a little bit of a darker, you know, grayish blue shading in there, and then highlighted again. Didn't really go too crazy with the hair. I think it's just white, just kind of makes it pop as much as possible. Now, as far as her outfit goes, I did this sort of paint up a while back on a custom Sideshow white storm I did off of the Mark Newman first storm way back in the day. And what it is it's not like that silver that Sideshow painted on the new storm. It's kind of more of a whitish pearl. It's got a little bit of blue shading in there. It's got like, well, not blue, it's kind of like a blue-gray in there. You can kind of see it in different areas. I just feel that this works a little bit better for her outfit. Now, her shoulder pads are actually just a, what is it, a chrome silver from Tamiya, or Tamiya. Just breaks it up a bit. So the outfit's got that pearl in there with that gray, but the shoulder pads have that, you know, chrome silver paint, and it just kind of looks the same, but it actually gives it a little bit of a different look. It's kind of very hard to see in the camera, but in person it's kind of different. And then as far as the base goes, it's kind of hard to see. After I painted a flat black, I kind of hit it with a sponge on certain areas of the interference blue, just to kind of give it a little bit of a texture, but don't make it like, it doesn't really pop out as much. So I didn't want it to be flat in there. I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of a pop to it, just to kind of, you know, just so it doesn't look boring. So that's kind of what I did with that. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. It was a fun project. Like I said, it's just kind of all over the place. Anytime I get an extra head like this down the line, for a statue, and I actually had the statue in hand, I can always just sort of kind of make a custom of it, you know, do a basic, you know, head display stand, and then I could just put it up on eBay or whatever. And like I said, it could just fund more projects for me. And this way, you know, if someone snags it, you pretty much have an exclusive storm that Sideshow didn't do with the extra head, and also a display stand. So it's definitely, it definitely works too if you're a storm fan and you just don't really want to put it on the premium format and you just like a bust. It kind of works out that way. So, like I said, it's a fun little side project. Didn't put as much effort into it as I normally would for a commission for someone, but it's just good to kind of do some side stuff, put it up on eBay, and see where they land. So I'm going to list it up on eBay now. Hopefully you guys liked the video. I appreciate it, and we'll be back with some more videos.